Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome! In this lesson we are going to implement the functionality that marks the current thread that we have selected as being highlighted. So we are going to give it a visible blue background and we're going to put the letters in white so that it's clear which thread is selected. So let's get started. We are going to go to the thread list component and here to the HTML template. And here what we're going to do is we're going to add a certain CSS class, the selected CSS class, to the thread that is currently selected. And for that we're going to use the ng class standard Angular directive. So the CSS class that we are going to add to the currently selected thread is called selected, but for the condition we need this information to be available here at the level of the thread list component. So we need to be able to identify that thread.id, so the ID of the current thread that we are looping for, is equal to the current selected thread. So we need to be able to identify the thread ID of the thread that we are iterating. And we need to compare that to the thread that is currently selected by the user. And this is an input parameter of this class. So we create here a property, we annotate it with input, and we are going to give it the type of number. Now, how do we fill in this property? Let's go back to the thread section component. Here what we're going to do is we are going to pass in the current selected thread ID as an input property of thread list, and we are going to retrieve this as a member variable from the thread section component. In order to keep the same approach, let's make this an observable and let's pipe it through the async pipe. So now let's implement this new observable here. Let's first define it. It's an observable of number. And the way that we are going to implement this selector is very simple. Let's implement this in a simple way. We are simply going to return the current thread ID from the user interface state. So we have here a function that has been defined here in line, only one line. We can remove here the curly braces and the return statement. And so we have here a very simple selector function that has been defined in line. We don't need necessarily to externalize it in a separate function. So let's do a quick summary. Here we are receiving the application state via the store. We are extracting a small slice of the state that corresponds to the current thread ID, and we are passing it in via the asynchronous pipe to the thread list component. The thread list component receives this as an input property and we'll use it to add the class selected to a thread in the thread list. So if the ID of the thread is the current selected thread, then the CSS class selected will be added to this element. So if we hit Ctrl S, the application will be rebuilt, and let's give it a try here in the browser. So this is the new version of the application. If we click in the currently selected thread, we can see that we have this blue background. So everything is working as expected.